whatever profession we are in, or whatever thing we like to do, we excel in that, right? So it's overall expanding our knowledge so that we are able to contribute better to whatever conversations we do, and we can engage people in our conversations. The third one is environmental. Now, all of us know how we are getting impacted by by things around us. A lot of times it is we need to monitor what is our carbon footprint. We need to make sure that we are using things that are not polluting the environment, because earth is our home, right? If we pollute our home, then we will not live in a happy state. So if we see, there's a lot of deforestation, there's a lot of other environmental pollutants which are there in our water, in our earth, in our soil, which in turn is impacting our health. Nowadays, if we are seeing a lot of people getting PCOS or thyroid concerns, it's mostly because of what we are what is devoid in our food, which is coming from the soil, right? The soil has a lot of nutrients, but that is not available for our consumption, so that's why we're getting deficient in our our nutrition. The fourth aspect is financial. So financial aspect defines that we live within our means, right? It's we should lead a debt free life, because if we are always constant under debt, it leads to a very stressful life. It leads to a lot of financial and emotional, and there's a lot of stress. It also leads to damaging relationships. So we need to make sure that we are making informed financial decisions, and we set realistic goals. It's not like or and another thing that I really want to emphasize is that we should not borrow a lot of money, because um, it doesn't lead to a very good relationship between the people. And also we need to prepare for short or long term financial emergencies, right? um, the next aspect or the dimension of wellness I want to cover is spiritual. So spiritual is about finding your purpose, finding purpose and value and meaning to your life. Maybe you are you're meditating, or you kind of connected to the higher individual, or what I would say, if people believe in God, great, you are just directly connected to God by being spiritual, by taking care of yourself and people around you. Okay. um, Another aspect is vocational. Vocational is basically preparing for and participating in work that provides satisfaction to you. So if you like to do something for your community, that is something for your community that is based on your strength. So if you can sing well, if you can garden well, if you can take care of gardens around you, if you can do something for your community or the people around you, that is through your vocation, through something that you are good at, be it your values, be it your goals, that will help in terms of yourself and the community you're staying in. The next one is emotional. So emotional means you are understanding. Emotional wellness is basically you understanding yourself, and you are respecting your feelings and values and your attitudes. It is also appreciating other people's feelings, and it's also basically emotional dimension also defines that how you are managing your emotions in a constructive way. There are times when we kind of we feel very angry or very depressed, or we are under that stress. So we need to find constructive ways of letting it out, rather than having an argument at home and spoiling everybody else's mood, and in turn spoiling our mood. It's not that we are happy by spoiling other people's mood, we also get unhappy because of that. But if we can do something, think of something, if we can take it out in a constructive way, maybe play an instrument, maybe learn something new, maybe watch a movie, something light, that can help you relieve that stress, that would be really good for yourself and people around you. The last one I want to cover is social. So social means you're maintaining healthy relationships with people around you. You're enjoying being with people, and you are developing good friendships, and you are caring for other people, and you're letting other people care for you, right? It also means that you're contributing to your community. It can be in any community that you are part of. So these define the 8 dimensions of wellness. All of us associate with few of them. Maybe we don't associate with all 8 of them, but slowly we need to start associating with complete 8 dimensions of wellness. So I also want to yeah so these are all covered in whatever I was telling you. Now I want to cover a little bit about nutrition, because see, nowadays a lot of people are uh, they are we are spending a lot of money on cure. We are having concerns that we don't know why they are happening. For example, if somebody has thyroid or PCOD, the doctors tell you that you need to reduce weight, right? But that weight is also due to some other it is a byproduct of some problem happening in the body. A lot of times doctors are not able to understand it. Why am I saying that? Because my father is also a doctor. I'm from a family of doctors, and the only way of addressing a problem or a disease is through giving medicines, right? But as a nutrition expert or a nutritionist, I want to go into the root cause of the problem. For example, if somebody is getting fever again and again, why are they getting the fever again? What is the root cause? If we can address the root cause, it is very easy to, then the fever will not come back again. So that's why we need to make sure that we always need to address the root cause. Now, what is wellness? Now, wellness is basically, the World Health Organization says that, uh, it is defined as being in a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It is not only that you are devoid of any disease, it is like a complete wellness. Your body needs to feel good. So that's when you are completely well. So I want to touch upon the process of metabolism that happens in our body. So we eat the food, whatever food we are eating. It can be junk food or healthy food. In here I've shown an apple, so I'm assuming everybody eats healthy. That leads to digestion, and digestion. The process of digestion helps in producing energy. Now, the byproduct of digestion or oxidation in our body is basically a lot of free radicals that are produced, right? I will cover free radicals in my next few slides. Digestion also leads, so if you see the two images below, one is showing that the iron is rusted, and one is showing the apple is, brown. So these two, so if oxygen combines with iron and water, it leads to rusting. That means, and once the iron is rusted, it doesn't give, the complete strength of iron is not there. So iron will become very weak, and then slowly it will break. In the same way, the apple, when it starts to brown, there's a lot of oxidation happening in there that leads to damaging of that apple, right? So our body is constantly under the process of oxidation. It also, it's constantly under, free radical damage as well. Now, what are free radicals? So there are two slides I'll keep, toggling between. So free radicals are basically produced by, like I said, oxidation in our body. So when we inhale oxygen, it kind of goes inside, and it helps in, the metabolism of our, food and our various processes. and it leads to free radicals. Now it depends on how your body is, how good or um, how strong your body is, so that free radicals will be produced less or will they be produced more. So if you see the free radical causing substances, they can be drugs and antibiotics, smoking, alcohol, stress, lack of sleep, pollution, virus or bacteria, household chemicals, mold, radiation, excessive exercise. Yes, excessive exercise also produce a lot of free radicals, which we need to counteract. So if somebody is more into exercising, you definitely need to eat food that can balance the free radicals in your body. Processed foods are highest cause of free radicals. Processed food means anything that chips, biscuits, junk food, baked items, cakes, pastries, namkeens, whatever packaged items are there, cold drinks, Coca-Cola, all these things produce a lot of free radicals in our body. Toxins like, toxins, I would say, like the smoke that we inhale, because if you're in the traffic, also the toxins can be pesticides or insecticides that we use to grow our crops, because our the way our agriculture is designed, we put in a lot of urea, we put in a lot of fertilizers and pesticides to grow our plants. Now where do those plants go? They go in us only, right? So a lot of these toxins sit in our digestive system, and it causes a lot of free radicals to be produced. Then EMF and ultraviolet rays. So if you're sitting or if you're going in, very strong sunlight, then also it will lead to a lot of free radical damage in our body. So coming back to free radicals. Now, if you see free radicals, the black one, the black devil kind of a thing, it has a lot of small electrons that are rotating around it, right? Now that free radical is basically devoid of an electron, right? It is like, for example, you have 12 sets of color pencils. You have a complete set of color pencils. There are 12 of them. Now, if one is missing, so what will happen? You'll have only 11. Now you want to complete your set. So what do? You take it from your friend. Now his color pencil set becomes less. So he takes one from some other friend. So like that, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So it leads to a lot of, so it leads to a chain reaction. So like that, this free radical, this bad guy is trying to take one electron from the good guy. So in turn, that guy, the first one, the first yellow, atom becomes unstable. In turn, the next one becomes unstable. Then the last one becomes unstable. So they become defenseless and damaged. So in that way, now that leads to oxidative stress. So in the same way that you have a normal cell, the cell is attacked by free radicals, and that free radicals, kind of crumple the cell, and it kind of kills the cell. So all this is happening in our body based on whatever food we are eating, whatever exercises we are doing, whatever environment, air we are inhaling. So it leads to a lot of concerns. So the stress, the oxidative stress, leads to damaging of different parts of our body, especially the organs. So it impacts the brain. So a lot of people, if they have a prior history, like in their family, it leads to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, sclerosis, dementia. In heart, there can be heart attack, stroke, high BP. For kidney, it can lead to renal nephritis. For skin, it can lead to eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis. Other organs, in joints, it can lead to osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. Your immune system can take the maximum hit. Okay, it can actually lead to asthma. It can lead to chronic inflammation. It can lead to autoimmune disorders. It can lead to colds, flus. And right now, because we are in this pandemic, we need to make sure that the oxidative stress for us is minimal. Because if the oxidative stress, if we are sitting at home and just eating, packaged items, we eating fried foods, and we're not eating healthy, and we're not eating a lot of antioxidants to balance the free radicals, it will lead to weakening of our immune system, right? If the blood vessels get impacted as well, it leads to lungs can get bronchitis. At a higher stage, it can lead to cancers. For eyes, it can lead to cataracts, retinal degradation, right? So we need to make sure that the oxidative stress is minimal. Now, what are antioxidants? Antioxidants are like saints. They say that I have a lot of electrons. I can give one electron to the free radical so that the free radical becomes stable, right? So antioxidants come to rescue. We need to pump in our body a lot of antioxidants. The next slides show that what are the antioxidants. Antioxidants mostly are vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium, zinc. So all these are antioxidants that we get from our fruits and vegetables, right? So now if you see your diet, if you think about what you ate today, did you eat 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables today, right? Of different colors. It doesn't mean that you're eating 2 bananas or the whole day you're eating watermelon. It doesn't mean that. It means that you need to have different colors and types of fruits and vegetable every day. So now, see, as a nutrition advisor, wellness coach, I recommend people looking at a food pyramid, right? So for food pyramid, if you see the bottom, it says that we need to have 5 to 7 servings of fresh fruits and vegetables every day, preferably organic. But a lot of us don't have access to organic fruits and vegetables. So whatever fruits and vegetables we can get hold of, please eat them raw, because raw fruits and vegetables have their own enzymes, and your body doesn't have to work extra hard to produce those enzymes. Also, if you cook your fruits and vegetables, I think we don't cook our fruits, but when we cook our vegetables in form of palya or any other form of vegetables like vegetable curry, it completely washes out the nutrients in it, and the only thing that we are eating is maybe fiber or a few other vitamins, minerals, or maybe a few minerals. So that's the base. Few years back, that was not the base. The base used to be what is the next one. The next one is basically the carbohydrates. The carbohydrate used to be the formational base, but now it is completely reversed. Fruits, vegetables, and salads, they are the base of our complete food structure, food plate. So the next one is whole meal cereals. Now, somebody who wants to lose weight, they say that completely you should give off carbohydrate. That is not true. We cannot completely give off carbohydrate, because when we eat carbohydrate, it makes us feel happy. It makes us feel satisfied. So we need to have the 3 to 5 servings of carbohydrates every day. Some people ask me this question, can we eat potatoes? Of course you can eat potatoes. Potatoes have done no harm. Rice has done no harm. Rice is good, potato is good, but it depends what you complement it with. If you're eating only potato and rice, it will spike up your insulin for sure. But if you eat potatoes with vegetable, it will balance and not spike your insulin. Now, when we eat foods which are processed and which are high in in carbohydrate or sugar, it leads to a spike of our insulin, because insulin has to be produced to balance the amount of sugar which is being going in our bloodstream. Now, property of insulin is that it will tend to store the fat. So if you're eating a lot of processed food, insulin is definitely getting into your system and being created by your pancreas. Your pancreas are poor thing; they are being overworked. So that leads to a lot of fat or weight gain, right? Then we need to have a good amount of protein. So next to, if you see, next to milk, yogurt, and cheese and meat, we need to have 2 to 3 servings a day, and fat should be very, very minimal. 1 tablespoon of oil actually gives 120 calories. So if you're having 3 tablespoons a day, it is actually, you are having 360 calories. Those are unnecessary calories actually. So on a daily basis, if you're planning to balance your calories so that you can maintain your weight, you should have 1200 calories minimal, right? Please avoid, if you're having any kind of inflammation in your body, try and avoid sugar and salt, because two of them will increase the inflammation and will lead you to a lot of other concerns. Have 8 to 10 glasses of water every day, because water keeps you hydrated. It is a very important component of your body. And if you're not having water, sometimes we mistake thirst for hunger. So we end up eating more calories rather than, just your body is indicating that you are thirsty. So whenever you are hungry, first have a glass of water, and then you go for whatever snack you are planning, right? Now, why am I saying all this? See, there has been a change in environment. Like I said, we use a lot of fertilizers, pesticides. There's a lot of soil erosion, which depletes nutrients from the soil. The crops are getting harvested earlier to support the population. Now, earlier, the fields used to be kept open, and so that the nutrients can come back and into the soil from the environment. But nowadays, we can't afford to keep the farm empty for 3 to 4 months, because we need to support the population. Now, if you see, population has grown, but the farmland has reduced. So to support those, the demand, uh, uh, what farmers do is they start to harvest the crops earlier. Now, I'll give an example. If a pregnant lady delivers a premature baby, the premature baby is still weak. It still needs a lot of nutrition. In the same way, if the early harvesting is done of plants, of the wheat or pulses or whatever, um, there is not complete nutrition in that food. Why am I saying all this? Because all this is what is actually happening outside, and that is what is actually we are also eating. So if you don't know why you are getting bloating, why you are getting PCOS, why you are getting all these concerns that were not there 10 to 15 years back, think about your environment, the changes in your environment, because that is what has led to all these concerns, right? If you see our parents and grandparents, if you still have grandparents, they are still healthy, their bones are still strong, and they can do all their work themselves. But think about us, we get tired so fast. We get we get we are getting all these concerns like hair fall, back pain, joint pain at very early years. We are not supposed to get it at early years. Our parents didn't get it. A lot of people say it is genetic. Yeah, okay, it is genetic, but after 40-50 years you should be getting them, not at an early age. So it is all because the nutrients are not coming in the food that we are eating. Now, like I said, there has been a change in our lifestyle. If you see a pattern, we are born healthy, but over a period of time we become deficient, and if that deficiency is not controlled, it leads to a disease. So whatever we have, heart disease, muscle degeneration, diabetes, BP, cholesterol, it arose from a deficiency. That deficiency did not get addressed, which led to a disease. So what we as wellness coach work in is prevention than cure. We need to prevent these diseases by living a healthy lifestyle, so that we don't spend money in the cure. Money will definitely go, you will have to spend money somewhere, either be it prevention or be it a cure. Because I don't like spending on doctors personally, because anyways they are super rich, and I think I would love to invest in my own health by eating the right foods, by eating the right plant-based fruits and vegetables, and eating the right diet, and exercising and staying fit. Now, some of the common deficiencies we see nowadays: calcium deficiency. If you have hair loss, slowed heartbeat, stomach pain, tingling sensation around mouth, depression, anxiety, dry skin, muscle cramps, if your calf muscle pain, it just shows that you are calcium deficient. If you don't control the calcium deficiency right now, over a few years, it will lead you to osteopenia or osteoporosis, which is, reducing the density of the bone mass. Iron deficiency. A lot of women nowadays have massive iron deficiency, which leads to, I mean, somebody who is having hair fall, definitely you are iron deficient. So broken hair, hair loss, fatigue, headache, lack of concentration, all of us study so much, right? Now, if you're not able to concentrate, definitely there's some deficiency happening in our body. Heartburn, gastric, pale skin, brittle fingernails. There are few iron deficiency symptoms. B12 deficiency. I think 9 out of 10 people in Bangalore are definitely B12 deficient. So which again leads to fatigue, dizziness. You might feel very lethargic, and vitamin D deficiency. It's on the rise across the country. Vitamin D deficiency also may be a precursor to other concerns like diabetes and cholesterol. So vitamin D deficiency is like if you're feeling tired and if you're overweight, if you're getting mood swings, if you have dry skin, if you have a joint pain, if you have excessive pain in your body, definitely vitamin D is getting low. Get your vitamin D tested. Now the biggest deficiency across India or across, I would say India to start with, is, the protein deficiency. Your body is actually missing its building blocks. Now, if you see some statistics here, so about 70% of parents, protein deficiency in 70% of parents. Singles seem to be better than, families that ways. Mothers are 72% deficient, single women 53%, 73% diet protein, whatever foods we are eating is protein deficient. Now, if you as a person, analyze what you are eating every day, you would definitely understand that you're not eating 1 gram per kg of your body weight's protein. If your weight is 60 kgs, you need minimum 60 grams of protein every day. On an average, the assessments that we do, we see that only 30 to 40% of protein is being met. Now, what are the symptoms of, early signs of protein deficiency? You feel tired, you feel bloated, you have hair loss, you're prone to injuries, you're also prone to, you'll get back pain, the lower back pain because the muscles are, wasted. So all these are deficiencies. We need to take care of how much protein we are eating every day. Now, as a wellness coach, I work on 4 pillars of health, which is a must. So food and nutrition is the first pillar because healthy food, whatever we eat, is a medicine, right? Food is a medicine to our body. If you eat the right healthy food, you will never fall sick. The unfortunate thing here is that we don't get healthy food. Now, if you see, like I told you earlier, that the soil is getting depleted of nutrition. The crops are grown in the same soil, so less nutrition is coming into the food. The second thing is whatever fruits and vegetables are harvested, they are they are given to the market. That itself, that delivery process takes 1 week. When we buy the fruits and vegetables, it sits in our fridge for another 1 week. So in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, the complete nutrition is gone. So what are we eating? If you think about it, we are actually eating very, very less nutrition. We're getting very less nutrition from the food, right? So deficiency creeps in from all over the place. We don't identify that as a, we always say that, okay, we'll take care of it later, but that later never comes. We need to take care of it now. Exercising is important. 30 minutes of structured workout is very important. We need to increase our heart rate so that, we kind of lose the fat. 10,000 steps of, if you're confused what exercise to start with, please start with a brisk walk. Please start taking steps rather than, going in an elevator. Now, if your house is on 9th floor or 11th floor or 12th floor, take elevator to half of the floor and half you walk, right? So at least get into a habit of walking 2-3 floors a day. Stress management again is very important. Like I told you before, if our body is under stress, there's a lot of oxidation happening. For managing your stress better, please do something that you like to do. It can be watching TV, it can be binging on Netflix, it can be, but uh, reduce the stress. You can listen to music, good music, go for a walk, spend time with your children, admire the nature. Nowadays, Bangalore is so beautiful, clouds are all over. So you should definitely help yourself reduce the stress. Another aspect, sleep. You need to have minimum 6 hours of good sleep. If you are getting up in the middle of night, or if you are able to remember your dreams, that means you are not sleeping well. You need to make sure that you're sleeping better, so that, because less of sleep leads to stress again, right? And more of stress leads to lack of sleep, so it's a vicious cycle. So you need to make sure that you're sleeping well. So first two, like food and exercise, healthy food and good amount of exercise throughout the day will make sure that you're sleeping better, right? And 1 hour before sleeping, 1 hour should be gadget free. And you should have 5 to you can have a bath before sleeping, so that it can help you get relaxed. You can have half a cup of milk before sleeping. Half a cup of milk with turmeric is again good for inflammation in our body. And the last one is you can try yoga nidra, because through yoga nidra you can help the body helps getting relaxed. And if you are still not able to get sleep, please try ashwagandha. Ashwagandha helps in getting good sleep, and it helps in relaxing the body and balancing the cortisol levels in the body. Now, eating healthy is again very, very important. We need to have, like I said, we need to use less oil for making our food. Pumping in oil in the recipe doesn't make it more tasty. You need to make sure that less oil is used, 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon oil at max. The more vegetables you introduce in your diet, raw mostly, will make sure that you kind of get all the nutrients. We need to have 13 vitamins, 11 minerals on a daily basis. Vitamins and minerals are like catalysts to our body. If you're able to eat the right vitamins and minerals, your body will not get rusted. Because all these vegetables and fruits, they give the antioxidants that your body needs to counteract the oxidative stress, to reduce the free radicals from your body. Now, you need to eat, like I said, you need to have 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. Whole grains, again, it should be a small portion, and good amount of protein. Okay, have good amount of water throughout the day. Usually when we do meal planning, we make sure that this complete plate, we can design what things go where. Okay, just make sure that you're not eating more than 2 palms, because this is the size of your stomach. If you eat more than that, whatever extra you're eating without working out will get stored as calorie, and you will end up putting on weight. On a lighter note, nowadays, pandemic is taking a toll. In Bangalore, the cases have been coming every day. I feel the disasters are collaborating better than us. There's pandemic, climate, conflict, economy is going down. So people say that COVID doesn't affect the young, but all of us are aging, right? Even the kids are aging, adults are aging, elder people have already aged, the systems are already slowed down. So please make sure that you're eating right, you're exercising well, you're in a state of good mental health, because when you think right, you will do right, and you will be healthy and happy, right? So that's all I had to share with everyone. If you have any questions, please drop a message or contact the person who has invited you to the webinar. And if you want to know more about how I work, please get in touch with the person who's invited you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Swati, for this wonderful session. And that was quite informative. Any query, anybody? can contact me. I will help you get connected with Swati.
Thank you, Swati.
Thank you. So all the best, and good to talk to all of you. You can visit my page. You can take it from Rohini. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Swati. Thanks, everyone.